Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and over the years, I've heard a lot of bad advice. And it's all advice recurring towards just fear. And right now, we are not in the best state, okay? We're seeing things change drastically, and it might not be the best 2023 whatsoever. So I'm making preparations, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm gonna do with my money to make sure when the time comes, I know exactly I'm going to be in a better position, okay? But some advice I've gotten over the years has been, for example, my grandma told me, Tommy, just keep your money under the mattress and you'll always be good. Good advice, but then the money is basically worthless years later because of inflation. I've heard advice of people telling me, Tommy, what you want to do is simple. Before the year is over, grab all your money, you spend it on investments, and you're left with zero, and that way you're forced into being better for 2023. I've done that, and I've walked around like I was on eggshells. I was so scared because, hey, I have $0, all my money's invested and locked away, and if something goes wrong, I'm in trouble. Third advice I got, which is just as bad, is Tommy, you want to buy a big house, big mortgage, or rent expensive. That way you're forced to make more money. Just terrible advice, okay? So if you watch anything in this video, just ignore that. That's not what you want to do whatsoever during a recession or during good times. It's just terrible advice overall. Now, as always, guys, like this video. On top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. Now, the very first thing, guys, is this. What I'm doing is simple. Cash is king, but you also don't want to be stupid. And let me explain, okay, guys? Cash is solid. It's good. But cash to me doesn't really mean anything. It just means to me the option to do something. If I leave this cash, and my grandma said, it will deteriorate, it will be garbage. It will not be worth that much money in a few years. But if I save this cash until I need it for something specific, then in reality, it gives me an option. And that's one of the most important things when it comes to cash. Think about cash as an option to do something. Now, I know whenever I say this, that basically right now, I'm stacking up a lot of cash. That's my strategy. I'm stacking up cash to have the option when it's time for me to execute, to pull the trigger and basically make a lot of money. Now, you have to be careful with that because you might get stuck waiting for a very long time. That money will be worth less and less and less, and the opportunity may never come. Or when it does come, you might not take the appropriate action, right? So overall, there are three things to worry about here. First, you have inflation. Inflation is a big factor because whenever you're trying to store up cash, you're worried that, well, this money that I'm storing up, it might not be worth that much by the time I actually get to use it. The rule is simple here. If you know you're going to be using your cash within the next like 5 years or 3 years, it's not really that much of a big deal unless you're seeing like double-digit inflation numbers. But if you are seeing that, but you don't want to part with your cash, then there obviously are, for example, certain options you could use, for example, like tips. Treasury, inflation protected bonds or whatever, you put your money in there and it adjusts for inflation. That way you're protected against inflation. So there are bonds, there are options you can basically use to protect yourself against inflation. But the logic to saying inflation is high, so I'm going to go ahead and invest into something I don't understand or into a lousy performing investment or into a risky one is a very stupid idea. Because inflation erodes value, but this basically just destroys it completely because you can lose all your money on a bad deal. So that's not what you want to do. So right now, inflation for me is not a big concern because I do plan on using the money within the next 1 to 3 years or so, okay? Now, number two, you also do have opportunity costs. And what that basically means is, Tommy, if you're saving up this cash and leaving it on the side, that means you're not investing right now, making 10, 11% every single year. So that's costing you money. Like as far as like the opportunity that cash could be giving you right now. The answer is true, but it also means that this cash is giving me the potential opportunity to take advantage of investments that can actually make me a lot more money. It's not just that simple to say like, well, don't have cash on the side. Cash is garbage. No, it's a lot more complicated because having cash on the side gives you the option to take advantage when things actually happen. The third thing is, guys, you're probably wondering, what are you waiting for, Tommy? Like, what is your plan? And what are you stacking up this cash for? The answer is simple. First of all, there's something I'm looking at right now. that if I invest into, I would be parting with around $85,000 worth of cash. Now that's a big deal because $85,000 worth of cash that I can basically make 11% on, just invest into the S&P 500, that basically means I'm giving up like $9,350 every single year, right? Because that's the return I could basically get. So what is this investment? The idea is there is an investment I'm looking at right now. It's a property. It's appraised for $100,000. It needs improvements around 15,000. So right off the bat, now we're at 85,000, and I'm trying to negotiate down to like around 70,000. So if I get into this property, I have built-in equity automatically of $15,000. I restore the property. I can rent it out to around like $700, and I can get around a 10% return with the equity inside, which basically averages things out to be a great opportunity. Okay, so that makes sense. That's one thing. But I'm also right now investing into individual stocks and individual companies. Now that means basically that during times of depressions, that is when the deals are going to come about. But I also need a lot of knowledge for this. So while I'm getting the knowledge and acquiring the knowledge and basically studying everything I need to know about these things, well, I'm stacking up cash so when the time comes, I can basically go ahead and take advantage. But the problem is, if I were to grab all the cash I have, and listen here clearly because this also applies to you guys, if you were to grab all the cash you have and put it, for example, into your investment account, whether it's retirement or your index funds or your ETFs or whatever, then automatically you're locking up that money potentially, unless you want to sell it and then maybe take a loss or take taxes, you're locking it up for a while. And that's a long time. So in my book, it's better off, hey, I'm going to keep this money here to have those options to basically take advantage when the time actually comes. Now, there's another thing that I'm doing here is that, as you guys know, I have two kind of investment platforms, right? You have the passive one, which is more like for Tommy when he's old and he basically wants that retirement account just to be secure. And then there's your active one, right? When I'm basically invested into individual deals, whether it's stocks or whether it's real estate, right? That's the idea, to make a proper return also. But it's more active in that sense and also a little more risky. So I do require a larger amount of money to be returned to me. Basically, I want to make more money for the risk I'm basically taking. So overall, I'm never going to stop investing into my normal passive portfolio. So whatever it is, recession, depression, I'm still going to go ahead and keep investing and investing and investing money into that portfolio, especially during downtimes. In reality, it gives me an opportunity to buy it at a discount. And sometimes what I do is basically that during normal times, I invest 10, 20% usually. But during terrible times, I might go ahead and raise it up to 25 or 30% of my income to take advantage of everything that's going on right now and basically average it out. That's how I'm still making money on the S&P 500, even though it's basically down right now. But because I bought when it was at its lowest in March of 2020, I got basically a big return. So it averages things out a lot better off, okay? That's the idea. That's what's going on right now. So as far as, for example, my cash, I'm always going to keep investing. If you are, for example, just a passive investor and you're just worried, for example, about your retirement account, you should not stop investing, especially during these times, because basically you get to take advantage of it. However, here's the third and final part of this video though. You want to use common sense, right? Because if you've been investing, but you are in debt and you have no emergency account and we are entering a recession, potentially, who knows what might happen. The idea is you want to be very careful because you're kind of walking on thin ice depending on your job. So if you have a job and you're like, before there were so many jobs available, but now things might tighten up a little bit more, I might get laid off, who knows? The answer is you want to be careful because if you've been investing and you've been investing without an emergency account or having a lot of debt, I would probably pause my investments right now and take advantage and say, hey, I'm going to save it for emergencies. I'm going to try to pay off all this debt. So this way I can be in a less leveraged position where I don't feel like if I lose my job, I'm probably going to have to take money from my investments to cover my expenses because you never want to put yourself in that position. So that's why I always say the first thing you want to do when it comes to financing money and financial freedom is you want to pay off your debts first. Right? All the debt except the mortgage. Then you want to save it for emergencies, okay? I have 12 months worth of emergencies saved up, and there's nothing, no opportunity on this earth that can make me part with that money because that's the money I have in case anything goes wrong. I have 12 months to figure it out. And whenever you part with that money, oh, there's an opportunity, then boom, you use the money for something, then emergency pops up, and then now you're stuck, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to take money out of the opportunity, and then what's the whole point, okay? It makes absolutely no sense. So that's the first thing, okay? But overall, also be aware, if you're saving up for a property and we have a recession, right, and there's some inflation going on potentially, the idea is you don't stop saving up for the property and put your money into something you don't understand. The answer is you can still keep saving up for your property, because that's the goal of that money. And you could actually have some opportunities to buy a property at a very good price. By the way, use common sense. Again, use common sense, because if interest rates go up and it's like 6% or whatever to buy a property, but the housing market goes down by 20% or like 30%, you're getting a massive deal still, because you're getting basically a property for a lot less than what it's worth. And that's good, okay? So don't just worry about the interest rate that much. Also worry about property values. That's also very important. On top of that, if you don't have plans, right, and you're just like, well, I don't really have any property plans or in any plans whatsoever, just don't stop investing into your retirement account. That's my advice. You got to keep going, and that's the idea, okay? Because you got to take advantage of the uncertain times, because that's when most of the money is being exchanged between the hands that are very fearful and basically the people that know what's happening, okay? And never forget, guys, okay, it is true, cash is king, but what is a king who never takes action? It's a dummy, okay? That's what I think he is, a dummy, because you're the king, but you never take action. So in reality, nothing ever happens. So if you have cash and all you want to do is save up cash for no apparent reason, the answer is that money is going to lose a lot of value and it's not going to benefit you in any way, okay? Well, depending on how much cash you actually have, like you have over like $20 million, and that's different because you're burning money, but you have an option that's massive. But for the average person, $10,000, $500,000, average, kind of crazy. But for the average person like that, usually you just don't want to have cash hoarding around for no reason, okay? Every dollar has to have a purpose for something. My emergency money, I don't care, I'll have it there forever, but money for something, there has to be a purpose, because inflation is a big thing and it does erode a lot of the value when it comes to your money. Guys, overall, thanks for watching this video. Like this video, comment down below if you made it all the way to the end of the video, and on top of that, comment down below your thoughts right now. What is your plan when it comes to your finances right now? Are you in the moment of, I'm trying to pay off debt, Tommy, I'm trying to save up for emergencies, Tommy, I'm trying to do some investing, I'm trying to buy a home? What part of this whole financial journey are you on? What's your priority, and what do you plan to do about it? And by the way, remember, during recessions, the scary part is not that the market is down, the prices go down. None of that stuff is scary. The scary part is potentially loss of income. And if you do lose your job and your income, that's the scary part, because your income, in a way, for a lot of folks, is your livelihood. And even the passive income you have, right, if it's not fixed in a sense, right, then it might go down from having X amount of money in your investment account to now like 50% less, and now you're getting 50% less income. And that's also a big deal, okay? So keep that in mind. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Up here is another video. Over here is my face. Subscribe. And as always, long-term team out. That's what I'm doing. What are you doing? Peace.